Welcome to Family Cafe School Team Session 3. This session is designed to empower school teams to promote strong family partnerships. Before we get started, I want to give you time to reflect on the progress you've made since your last session. In Session 1, you learned about the Family Cafe program. You started your team action planning in this session. Session 2 focused on communicating with families. We spent time reflecting on the 4 versions of family engagement using the Family Partnership rubric and discussed ways to proactively work with the families of students with disabilities. Take a moment to think about any steps you've taken since then and how that work is progressing. Press pause to reflect or to discuss with your team if you are in a group. Thank you for reflecting. Now, let's shift our focus to Session 3. There are 3 key outcomes for today, all centered on family engagement that leads to improved student outcomes. First, we'll explore how to link family engagement strategies directly to student learning. Next, we'll think about ways to collaboratively work with families to resolve problems. Finally, through the lens of special education, we'll examine how to build consensus during individualized education program IEP processes and how to empower families to be active partners within the school. If you look at the agenda, you'll notice it follows a familiar structure. We'll begin with a welcome and overview, followed by best practices that apply to all families. Then we'll narrow our focus to supporting families of students with disabilities, particularly around special education processes. We'll also bring in our specific lens on supporting highly mobile families. Toward the end of the session, you'll have time to work on your action plan, and we'll wrap up with an evaluation. Let's start with a quick warm-up activity. We're going to look at some strategies schools often use to engage families and decide whether they are things we should do more of or less of. First, let's look at the practice of displaying student work along with scoring guides that show levels of performance. Should we do more of this or less of this? This is something we want to do more of. Displaying work creates a sense of belonging within a school. The practice is motivating. It also provides parents, community visitors, and the general school community with a good understanding of what the students are working on in class along with the expectations. Regularly sharing and posting rubrics provides everyone with a strong sense of expectations. Next, offering student-led conferences where students discuss their own work and assess its quality. Should we do more of this or less of this? This is also something we should do more of. Student-led conferences build autonomy, self-efficacy, and a sense of self-determination over their education. How about calling home only when students misbehave or get into trouble? Should we do more of this or less of this? This is definitely something we want to do less of. It is important to establish a relationship that does not revolve around conflict. It makes communication so much easier, especially when problems arise, because a sense of trust has already been established. When families are engaged proactively and communication is ongoing and two-way, difficult conversations become much easier when they do need to happen. What about offering parenting classes? Should we do more of this or less of this? This one can feel tricky, but the answer is actually do less of general parenting workshops telling parents how to be better parents are a primary method of engagement. There are many other ways to engage families beyond offering parent classes at school. That said, parent training is an evidence-based practice when responding to specific needs that parents have for children with disabilities. Examples of this may include teaching parents about specific assistive technology that can support their child at home. Now consider holding workshops for families on college planning and discussing college admission standards. Should we do more of this or less of this? Holding these kinds of workshops can help families with planning around career pathways and post-school outcomes, whether that includes college, the military, or careers that lead to a living wage. It is also important to connect parents of students with disabilities to tailored workshops that can address their specific questions. These conversations promote positive transition into adulthood, so this is something we want to do more of. That warm-up helps us begin thinking about how to link family involvement programs to student learning. Next, we're going to revisit Beyond the Bake Sale and use a checklist to do a quick assessment of how closely your school is already linking engagement activities to student learning. This checklist is available on the website, but you should have this handout in front of you right now if you are taking this training in a group. Please pause if needed to get this in front of you. As you can see, the checklist is organized into several sections, each with guiding questions. The first section focuses on learning what students are doing in class and how that information is communicated to families. For each question, you'll self-assess using 4 options, whether it's already a strength, something you could easily do, something that will take time, or something that would be hard for your school to implement right now. The second section focuses on informative school communication and how it can better support student learning. The third section looks at using student achievement data to design programs. The final section focuses on collaboration with community learning programs. After completing the checklist, take time to reflect on which areas you want to focus on first. Some items may be low-hanging fruit that you can implement quickly, while others may require longer-term planning and should be added to your action plan. Some strategies may only require minor adjustments, while others may take more intentional planning. You'll also think about how parents and parent organizations could help improve student achievement and note any concerns you want to revisit during action planning. Take about 30 minutes to reflect, discuss with your team if possible, or take notes for later discussion. The goal is to identify 1 or 2 items to add to your team action plan. Press pause now to complete the activity. Welcome back. Hopefully you had some powerful conversations about family engagement that truly promotes positive student outcomes. Now we're going to shift our discussion specifically to special education and family partnerships for students with disabilities. You're familiar with the document Partnering with Families Through Special Education, which we've used in every session. Please turn to that now. Today, we'll focus on Strategy 4, a commitment to inclusive, empowering, consensus-building IEP processes. Take time to review page 10 and reflect on your school's strengths in creating inclusive and empowering IEPs, as well as areas for growth. Identify a few priorities that you can add to your action steps. Take about 10 minutes to read and reflect. Press pause now. Welcome back. As you reflected on your strengths, you may also have thought about areas where improvement is needed. Many of us have experienced IEP meetings where something was said unintentionally or a moment caused the meeting to go off track. Now we'll share some examples drawn from the article, The Intentional IEP. These are problematic statements that have been heard in meetings. Never in your schools, of course, but other people's schools. Take a moment to think about challenging IEP moments you've experienced, things you wish had been said or handled differently. Press pause now to discuss. Some problematic statements may not even be recognized by teams unless you are looking from a parent's perspective. For example, saying, "We only have 45 minutes, so let's get started," may not seem like a big deal, or "We are running out of time, so I'll keep this to a couple minutes. I'll make this short." These statements can make families feel rushed. This is their child, and feeling rushed conveys a lack of care. These decisions impact the child's education and are major. Suggesting medication is a quick way to get a meeting off to a rocky start, as these are personal medical decisions. Blanket statements like "all students receive extended school year services" or "none of our students qualify" remove the individualized nature of the plan and also cause problems. Statements such as "we can't do that here," "there's no way we can increase minutes," or "let's move on" can make families feel unheard. Excessive use of acronyms and educational jargon can also create barriers. While these statements are often well-intended, they can easily be misunderstood. The way we communicate during IEP meetings really matters. It can really impact the level of family engagement and the nature of the relationship. So let's step back and talk about what we should do to increase effective collaboration with families during the special education process. We'll focus on 3 key areas: building positive relationships, effective communication, and early preparation. Building positive relationships begins with kindness, courtesy, sensitivity, and respect. Approaching families as important participants in their child's education builds trust. Empathy matters, and showing up with care and professionalism is foundational to our role as educators. Another important strategy is ensuring parents feel like active participants in the IEP process. This means truly listening to their ideas, concerns, and preferences and making sure their input is considered in decision making. Feeling heard and appreciated is critical during IEP meetings and beyond. Mistakes can and will happen. When they do, it's important to acknowledge them quickly, take responsibility, apologize when needed, and work collaboratively with families to resolve concerns before they escalate. Strong relationships on the front end make navigating challenges much easier. Effective communication is the heart of family engagement. This includes focusing on solutions rather than assigning blame, especially when discussing student progress or challenges. It also means returning to shared goals for student achievement, which is the core purpose of the IEP. Communication should not just occur when there are problems. Effective communication involves regular updates and positive communication as well. It is important to establish a relationship with parents during non-conflict time to establish trust. For students with disabilities especially, it is important to create an open door of reciprocal communication from day one. Find out what's been working well in the past. What are the child's strengths? What are the parents' concerns? What would you like the team to know? These early conversations give the school the tools and information needed to help the child and establish a trusting relationship. Parents should never feel blindsided in an IEP meeting or when report cards come out. Providing information to parents ahead of time is another key strategy to effectively communicate with parents. If there is an emerging issue, parents should know about it before the meeting. Also, sharing documents in advance allows families time to process information and prepare questions, leading to more meaningful conversations. IEP meetings can feel intimidating, so preparation helps families feel confident and empowered. Encouraging families to share information about their child is equally important. Parents know their children best and can offer valuable insights into their child's strengths, needs, preferences, and well-being. Early preparation also means ensuring families understand the special education process and that communication is ongoing, not just limited to meetings. Streamlining paperwork and reducing bureaucratic burden whenever possible allows meetings to focus on what matters most: the student's individualized needs. Every student is unique, and IEPs must reflect that. Avoid one-size-fits-all approaches. The more you know families ahead of time, the better you can tailor meetings, services, and ongoing supports. Finally, maintain a strength-based approach, emphasize student progress, talents, and assets, as well as the strengths families bring to the table. This perspective helps build momentum and leads to stronger, more effective IEPs. Everything that we have discussed so far represents best practice for family engagement for all students, but let's reflect about highly mobile families specifically. Take a moment to discuss in your group what successful relationship building looks like for this demographic. Hit pause now. As we discussed in previous sessions, highly mobile families have increased barriers and stress. This means that these relationships may take extra effort and outreach, especially if parents have competing stressful circumstances. Establishing new housing, new work adjustments, or job searching, and acclimating to a new community and new school are a lot of balls to juggle. Therefore, it is important to be as proactive as possible to welcome these families. Some schools utilize systems like student or family ambassador volunteers or mentors to welcome new families, which is something that may be helpful at your school if you are not doing this already. For the remainder of your time today, please consider critical next steps for your team. What are the things you want to do more of and less of, especially when working with highly mobile families? Because time with these families may be limited, building relationships and effective collaboration becomes even more essential. Take time to solidify next steps for your action plan based on today's activities, focusing on effective strategies for family engagement during IEP meetings and beyond. At this point, you should be thinking about specific action steps for each team member to get to the goal, as well as a logical sequence. This training session comes with additional resources, which are available on the website, including tools for communicating with families that were used in developing this session. Thank you for your time and commitment. We know family engagement matters, and we recognize how limited your planning time can be. We hope Family Cafe helps you move the needle in strengthening family engagement to support student learning. As always, please reach out to our project team with any questions or comments.